Istanbul, a city so historic it scarcely needs an introduction. Over on one side of me are all the familiar landmarks, the great church at Hagia Sophia, the Sultan's Palace at Topkapi, and the magnificent mosques of the Ottoman era. Our square mile takes us from those mosques across the water to the old European district of Pera, a peninsula bound on one side by the Golden Horn and on the other by the rather choppy waters of the Bosphorus.
Istanbul famously straddles two continents, Europe and Asia. We're on the European side. It's an area that's been buffeted over the centuries by change and conflict.
We've now come up the hill to the Galata Tower. This is the fulcrum around which this neighbourhood has developed. It was built in the 14th century by Genoese traders, among the first of the European settlers who made this the most multinational part of the old Ottoman Empire, and today a new influx of Turkish wealth and creative energy is bringing the district back to life.
Here is Bosphorus. Bosphorus is between Black Sea and Marmaris.
The roof of Ferda Köknelioli's office gives us an unrivaled view over our square mile.
Down there with the port is Karaköy, Galata Tower, Galata Bridge, so this is Galata.
He's part of a new generation of confident and very successful Turkish entrepreneurs. He runs a digital media marketing company, which is growing fast in Turkey and overseas.
Turkey is very big social media.
I think one of the biggest users of Facebook.
Yeah, in the world, top 3, I guess, in the world.
And it's here, in our square mile, that he's chosen to base himself.
So this is like a miniature of Turkey's whole district. You can see like millions of people passing by during a nice weather day in summer. You can see a beggar and the prime minister at the same time at the same port, at the same doors. And it really gives a lot of interaction culturally, emotionally, and gives a lot of inspiration. It's a great district to live, entertain, and to have fun. And I believe business is very much related to fun. It should be.
I've always found this the most evocative of Istanbul's districts. Its narrow streets and crumbling facades, a haunting echo of the city's former glory. But in the 3 years I've been here, I've seen it transformed. Once again, Pera, or Beyoğlu as it's now known, is very fashionable. And urban renewal doesn't get any grander than this. Once the headquarters of the Ottoman Bank, which financed the old empire, it's now been turned into a stunning centre for arts research.
Hello, Vasif. Nice to see you. How are you? And what an amazing building.
Vasif Kortan is the curator and oversaw its conversion.
We changed it quite a bit. I mean, not physically, not structurally, but the way it communicates to the public. So, as opposed to a place where money is changed, this is where information and knowledge is produced.
So this is, well, the main part of the library, I guess?
Yes, I mean, except for the archive and the periodicals, the main books.
He hired 7 different architects to give each part of the building a distinctive look. The idea, he says, was to use this piece of imperial heritage as an accessible library that all Turkish citizens can use, and to generate ideas for Istanbul's flourishing art scene.
Istanbul is certainly a power corridor. It is a boom town, and all of these factors are in place. Also, there's a great generation of young generation of researchers, writers, artists, etc., coming in. So that makes it a very, very fertile place.
Does it feel exciting to be here now?
Of course. I mean, I don't know if it's exciting or not, but I get very bored when I leave Istanbul.
It's a bit like a monastery with these arcades here.
Oh yes, we live in a good monastery though.
This is your
It's not a Turkish city. It is a place where also Turks lived, or Muslims lived. But that's not what defines the city. There are many other things that define the city. It's older than that, and it has always been somewhat in the center of the world. And now it's again in the center of the world. It's not going to go away. I mean, what we're experiencing right now is not something that's going to go away.
Istanbul was, of course, the capital of an Islamic empire for 4.5 centuries. Its imperial mosques, still define the city skyline. I love seeking out these islands of tranquility. I came with Ayşen Baylak, one of the millions of observant Muslims in the city, to one of my favourites, the dazzling 16th century mosque of Rustem Pasha, just across the Golden Horn.
I've never seen one that's decorated quite like this inside.
Yes, the interior decoration of this building is amazing, and it is incredible, and it's quite vivid, and this vividity sometimes make a certain sort of influence over you.
It's a bit intimidating.
Sure.
How does this work? It's Turkey that's becoming, its economy is growing as fast as China's. People are becoming very rich.
Yes, that's true.
Money is on show everywhere. Flashy cars, flashy houses, and yet it's also supposedly becoming more Islamic. How does that work?
Actually, yes, a certain group or class of people are becoming much more richer compared to past, but these people have also some religious concerns. So they are becoming rich at the same time they are trying to preserve their religious concerns or trying to match these two phenomena.
Is it easy in Islam to be both very, very rich and very spiritual at the same time?
It's theoretically possible, at least, but in practice.
Today, 99% of Turks are Muslim, but it wasn't always so. The churches and synagogues I've discovered in my wanderings through Pera are the relics of a very different past. All have their own stories to tell. Sometimes we have to look hard to find them.
One of the features of our square mile are the secrets tucked away in its back streets that reflect the extraordinary cosmopolitan character of this neighbourhood. And this is one of them. It's a church built in the 19th century to commemorate the British soldiers killed in the Crimean War, and it's still in use today. Hello, Ian.
Hello, welcome to Christchurch.
I'm glad I found it. It was very well hidden.
Nice to see you.
Wonderful discovery in central Istanbul.
I know, it's a real jewel, isn't it?
A piece of Victorian high Gothic.
Yes, yes.
The Reverend Ian Sherwood is chaplain of the small Anglican community in Istanbul, who waged a long campaign to restore the church from many years of disuse.
It was full of pigeons. You can still smell pigeons and bats in here. And we slowly beautified it with hangings and built an altar. A Somalian refugee built the altar. A Nigerian football player rebuilt the organ.
Yeah.
We've got a hill organ sent out in 1910. The rood screen we cleaned up and decorated. It was sent as a memorial to those who died in Gallipoli.
From this unexpected slice of Victorian Britain, I'm on foot, heading downhill towards the shores of the Golden Horn again, past Ottoman-era buildings that today house Pera's new residents, artists and entrepreneurs. I find walking the ideal way to tackle these impossibly steep and winding streets, and to discover their hidden treasures. Like this underground mosque made in the cellar of an old Byzantine castle.
They say that this is the place where the great chain pulled across the Golden Horn to block Muslim invaders 600 years ago was anchored. And here, according to legend, are the bodies of 2 Arab soldiers killed in a much earlier attempt to capture the city.
It's the Muslim fasting month of Ramadan, and I'm queuing with Ayşen for a fast-breaking meal laid on by the municipal government in a tent next to Rustem Pasha Mosque. These are very popular with poorer Istanbulis. minutes tick by, until the moment the muezzin will call the final prayer at sundown.
In the second part of One Square Mile, we take a look at Istanbul's special seafood culture and the often uneasy relationship it's had with its own past.